I think everyone was really looking forward to Light and Building. And I think for so many reasons, and you know more than anybody, that, this business is so much relationship based. And I think Light and Building is a great place where people kind of, cement those relationships in a lot of ways and see new products and see what's going on. And how, I don't know if there is an answer. I was interested to hear your opinion. How do we kind of fill that void because it's not happening?
I don't know. I was missing the Irish pub, really, when you talk about Light and Building, but don't miss those
Priority.
crowds. Anybody who's ever been at that pub after hours knows that that is that would not be good now. It's multi-pronged when you talk about these lighting shows. It's the seeing everybody and having those conversations. It's seeing products for American designers, things you see at Light and Build that give you great ideas of what's coming, and then you kind of have to wait or yell a little bit at your manufacturers that this is something that is a good idea. But there's a lot of value in these broad-based groupings of seminars that are well curated. I think that is a huge value too, because the shows are very, very big and there's a lot of products to be seen. But the educational opportunities and the networking opportunities are humongous. And, we're all watching these 20, 30-minute Zoom things that come across our streams like every day, all day, trying to pick the things that we wanted to see. It's not that different from reps calling us and saying, hey, do you have time for us to show you this? The good news for reps is they can contact one of us and all 9 of us potentially can be on the call. So they're not reps necessarily, but manufacturers, they can get 9 for the price of 1, which has to be some time saving there. I'm hopeful that in the future, there's really good ways to continue this process. Seeing a lot of things and being able to compare and contrast and look for trends as you walk through the exhibit floor and all of that, I think is invaluable. And to do it, as a magazine thing or as a virtual thing is just a little bit harder. But I think we're all going to learn. We're going to learn how to get the most out of whatever these things become, because I don't think we have a choice.
That's an excellent point. And in that vein, have you seen anything interesting in terms of new products or ways people are getting stuff in front of you?
We're seeing a steady stream of new stuff. We're seeing content created by manufacturers educationally. Sometimes it's well informed, sometimes it's not as well informed. And that makes me a little bit nervous, but that's no different either than going out in person and, telling people about lighting and sometimes being well informed and sometimes not being as well informed. Better development, in my opinion, of products. It's maybe more applications and interesting ways to apply products that we're starting to see. We've got these Lamborghinis of controls out there that and products tunable and changeable and this and that it can do so many different things, and it starts to become very interesting to see what ways people are using them that we maybe haven't thought of, outside of the box ways, and hopefully we're contributing to that conversation as well.
That's interesting too. I think that as we're all sitting at home, we've had a little more time to think, like how you're talking about how your team is taking some initiative to learn Revit. I think there's been a lot more thinking time and people are getting creative. Do you have an example or something you can share about a creative idea that's come out of this?
Well, we, as a team, we kind of talked about ways that we can help each other, and then content that we can create that is helpful to the industry. And we're working on some things like that. I'm not going to, don't want to spoil the surprise, of course, but we started by creating maybe a little bit more intimate's not the right word, but intimate content about our spaces or how we find inspiration for design. We Then we did a little essay on, we called it Searchlight. We searched the word light in our pictures on our phones and did a little photo collage of what came up. And it was kind of cool to see how each one of us sort of approaches light differently, and what our experience has been. We have one person on our team who hasn't been in lighting more than a couple, 3 months. She has an interior design background, and then other background that makes her a very interesting person. And she said to me, well, I just have some fixtures on my phone. I said, but it doesn't matter. I mean, that, you type in the word light and see what you get. And actually what she typed in and what she found, I think probably even surprised her. So we're looking at ways to just keep talking about the value and the quality of light and how it applies to our human existence. What are you guys seeing? Am I allowed to interview you in our interview?
Yeah, of course. I mean, what we're seeing is, as far as the industry, I think there was, we started these back, when was it been, like March, doing coffee talks, and at the beginning.
Wait, and you're just interviewing me now? Man.
We're trying to build. We can't set the expectations too high. No one's gonna watch it.
Well played, John. Well played.
Dave, well done.
But yeah, we started back in March, I guess it was, and there was then it's kind of funny because yesterday I was watching some of the other ones, and there was so much uncertainty at the beginning of what's going to happen, how long it's going to last, and I think it's been really interesting. I mean, for Finn and I, we've gotten and we get, every time we send a coffee talk out, people are always saying this one was great, this one was awesome, because we're getting so much great insight, and people are seeing, as designers do, seeing things from so many different angles. So it's perspectives that you never even anticipate. And I think at the beginning we saw people were nervous and jobs are shutting down, when they're going to reopen. And I think now there's a lot more, I feel, I guess you could say, overall confidence that, yeah, it's going to be different, but things are going to come back. We're going to get there. I mean, definitely, I think there's the overall impact of some of the shutdowns is hitting more now. Things are a little slower than they've been, but I think it's a very, now I'm seeing more momentum, I guess. Ben, you could, I don't know if you can agree with me, we're seeing more momentum going back into it almost.
Yeah, we're seeing more momentum, more activity, things are building. And I think you're right. Confidence has grown, a direction is kind of being set. What I find really interesting and what's fantastic about the industry we work in and our colleagues here, people like you, Andrea, who we get to spend time with, everybody without doubt has stepped forward. Everybody's trying to lead from the front. They're trying to figure out how to solve the problem, how to get ahead of it, and how to contribute to the industry as a whole. How do we all get through this as a community? How do we solve this problem as an industry? And how do we push forward? There's just being a constant energy pushing forward. It's been really exciting to see.
I would agree. I was, I don't know if you have on tape when we were talking about happy hours and stuff. I think a lot of us are enjoying these happy hour opportunities. And, the one thing that struck me when the Paycheck Protection Program started up, and, in the very beginnings, it was scary. Of course, the concern was, am I going to be able to protect my employees? Because we didn't know. We didn't know if clients would continue to pay us. We didn't know if projects would keep going. There was just a lot that we didn't know. And the PPP was sort of like this grail that was held out in front of us. And, my experience with it was a bit frustrating in the beginning, because the bank that I used was really slow to get things rolling. So a lot of my peers had already gotten their loans before I did. And although now I'm kind of grateful that I'm still in my 8-week period. But the thing I want to say is, so many shared links and information and updates, and it was heartening and hopeful, because everybody knew we were all in the same boat. And it was just I really loved seeing the industry do that. I loved I've been enjoying the IALD seminars, the webinars that folks have been doing, talking about business and, just ways to get through this as an industry and as humans, and the things that they're doing to keep their businesses strong, to help the industry, to help their employees. I think as an industry, I just love us.
We heard last time with our conversation with Mike Riotto, he was saying, as an industry, we've got to get out there and we have to educate. Everyone has a perspective on how to propel this forward. So what would you say is the thing that us as an industry needs to be doing to push this forward?
You know what? I'm sure there are a lot of smarter people than I am that would have really, really smart things to say about this question. And I've thought about this in terms of a lot of different things that are going on in the world. Our job is to do quality lighting design. Our job is to make sure that the lighting in spaces that people inhabit or beings inhabit is the very best that it could be. If we do that, we're doing our job, so I'm sure there's better answers to your question, but me personally, I'm going to keep doing lighting design at the very best level, the highest level that I possibly can. I'm going to make sure that, that I and my team have access to every resource that they need, educationally, productivity-wise, whatever. I'll just invent some new words, to do the very best they can to provide high-quality lighted environments and to help our clients get their money's worth, to be environmentally responsible, to, all of the things that create that intersection, that wonderful Venn diagram that has quality lighting design in the middle. That's our job. That's what we're here to do, and be kind. Peace on earth, world peace, this congeniality, world peace.
But, I love what you said before about clients and people feeling safe and protected in the environments they're in. I've had friends now, no one has cared too much that I've been in lighting in the past. And now I guess it's almost like, pun intended, there's a spotlight on the industry in some ways to try and find solutions, with some of these fixtures for sanitizing and things like that. And I don't know if it's a moment for the industry. Do you feel that way? Do you see that where people are looking towards the lighting industry a bit to try and help solve the problem? Because it's interesting how many people have now asked me about it, if I know what's going to be happening there.
I think is it a turning point? Like if LEDs didn't turn people on their noses, I don't know what would. Truly talk about disruptive technology. That was certainly, in my opinion, a disruptive technology. Germicidal, it's not new. It's been out there, but people didn't necessarily know what those big, humongous half moon things were sitting on walls. Now they will. Now they will understand, I suppose, that light is part, or components of light are part of this conversation. That doesn't necessarily at the moment advance the conversation about quality lighting. And I'm going to go back to that. We're making the environment safe for people, but that isn't necessarily right now the lighting story. It's the germicidal sanitization story. So as an industry, yes, perhaps this is a moment to take this opportunity and talk about how quality of light is important as well, physiologically and psychologically.
During this time at home, what kind of hobbies have you been getting into?
Well, let me tell you, no. Look, so I always have loved, that's not true. I didn't even know how to make a hot dog when I was in high school. For many years, I've enjoyed cooking. Cooking has been kind of my thing. I like it because it doesn't require any real detail, and then that's probably kind of good for me in some ways. You know, you play, you taste, you kind of figure things out as you go. Baking scares the living daylights out of me because it does require precision, and you know, there are set rules and you can really screw stuff up. But nevertheless, I forged in just like so many others and created a sourdough starter, something I had always wanted to do. I always wanted to do kimchi too, but kimchi kind of is stinky and sourdough starters smell a little bit better. So I went the sourdough route, and I've been learning. I killed the first one, but you know, the second one has taken beautifully. I've named her Audrey too. And for those who don't know Little Shop of Horrors, that's the plant that requires feeding regularly.
So does Audrey ever pipe up and say, "Feed me, Andrea"?
Thankfully, she does not. However, she does sometimes almost grow bigger than her container, which makes, you know, me worry just a little bit. But she's never, you know, found her way towards my fingers or anything like that. So we seem to be getting along quite well, and she has spawned some, you know, baby Audrey discards that many of my neighbors and friends and whatever have gotten. So there's lots of sourdough to be had out there, and it's been a really fun hobby.
That sounds awesome. Is there any way we can meet Audrey?
Yep. Let's see. I'm going to unplug and take my computer with me. So bear with me here.
The suspense is killing me.
View of my ceiling fan, our 1942 house. Okay, so I'm going to put you on the counter and sort of, it's kind of hard to see, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it this way instead. Audrey got fed this morning, so she is here.
Oh,
There's
nice.
Audrey. I'm losing grasp of her, but she's bubbly and she smells great, and she's been fed with pineapple juice. Let's see if I can. Nope, it's really hard. Oh, there's Audrey. Front and center. She'll be going back in the refrigerator because I'm going to make some rye bread this weekend, but she has provided me with enough discard that she can now go back to sleep. But, I think they do become kind of like pets, and we take care of them. I had a neighbor that was concerned because the discard I gave her had not taken, and she was very upset, and I had to remind her that it really is just flour and water, and you can make it again. but you know, it's been fun. It's been a fun learning process. It's a little bit of chemistry and a little bit of love, and a lot of flour and pineapple juice. So that's what I've been doing. That and Tai Chi. I'm trying to learn, and I've learned enough to be able to start learning now, maybe. So I enjoy that as well.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that snapshot. I think you inspired me to do some sourdough. And of course, thank you for all the insights you've given us here on the industry. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much for the insight. I mean, some great stuff, and really appreciate your point of view. And it's really, you know, just great to hear, and I appreciate the time you taking it. We spent a lot of time here with you, so thank you so much.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Have a great day.
Yes, you too. Thank you, Andrea.
Bye.
Bye.